I'm looking for a child who is 9 years old. He's walking by himself down a long dark road. I'm looking for a child with a heart of gold, stars in his eyes and a long way to go.
Welcome to our program. Today we have a very special guest and we just heard one of his poetry. Can you introduce yourself?
Well, the song was called Looking for a Child, and my name is John Buckley McQuaid, and I come from Dublin, and I'm living here in Denmark. I live in Aarhus.
But how...
Why Denmark? Well, my brother met a Danish girl who was working as an au pair. And we started playing music together, and then we decided to see a bit of the world, so we left for London. And then we were in London for about 3 months, and then she started to get a bit homesick, that was it. And then she said, there's gigs in Denmark. And we said, gigs? So we took off for Denmark, and that's why I'm here now.
And do you enjoy the weather here?
What weather?
Our cold, lovely...
Well, I will say it's better than the Irish in a way because it's not as wet. It may be cold, but it's getting better.
And tell us about the song that we heard. Do you have this child inside of you that is still looking for these dreams?
Well, I believe that we all have children in us. We have to start somewhere. So that's the way it is with kids. You know, we're all kids to begin with, and then what we do later on depends on whether we're supported or not, or how we're treated as kids. But the important thing is that regardless of what kind of childhood we have, it's who we become and how we go on.
And why you choose this way? Does word has a meaning for you?
It was survival, basically. I started writing songs to survive because both my parents were alcoholics. So when you're dealing with alcoholics, there's very, very little space because it's got this incredible narcissistic element to it. So there's not much room, and it's claustrophobic, and the kids can't breathe. This was my way of making a doorway and creating a universe which satisfied me where my home couldn't satisfy me. So it was basically a question of staying alive.
Was it also that you were wanted to be in a center because maybe your parents didn't give you that much attention, so suddenly you get a stage, all the lights on you?
No, I was never in the center, and that wasn't why.
But on the stage?
On the stage, going on the stage. To begin with, I hated going on stage. I didn't like it at all. But then I met somebody who hated it even more than I did.
Who was it?
So I had to. It doesn't matter who it was.
All right.
But he hated it even more than I did, so I ended up kind of trying to comfort him and encourage him, with the result that I forgot myself. And that is the trick in all creative activity. It's a question of forgetting the ego.
And putting the light on the poem?
Putting the light on the content.
Not on yourself.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
It helps you to perform.
No, it's not a question of helping to perform. It enabled me to perform.
And then in your life, did you found some lovely woman did you fall in love? Because I would like to talk about your projects, Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day. Well, Valentine's Day was yes, it was about a love affair, which actually happened. And it's set in Paris, Madrid, Berlin, and Aarhus. It was a diary of a love affair, let's put it that way. And it's kind of, when you're in love, you're insane. And afterwards, when it's all over, or maybe it lasts, I don't know, it depends on how lucky you are or whatever, you kind of think, what the hell was that? And Valentine's Day is a diary to kind of show me what it was. I'm basically writing it for myself.
And when I was listening to this, I was wondering, is it one woman? Because it's 4 different cities. Is it for one love or?
That's a very good question, which I can't really answer. But in this particular case, it was one person. But I will say that some of the lyrics came from past experiences and whatever. I mean, as a writer, I was never allowed to be a painter as a child. I always found a kind of a side door. So what I did was I decided to paint with words.
Beautiful.
And of course, this was taken from me as well. We had a housekeeper, and my mother didn't approve of me writing or painting because it was basically a waste of time, and she probably meant well with it, but the housekeeper used to steal my lyrics, but then and throw them on the fire. But then I, of course, realized what was going on, and I made sure that they weren't available to be taken anymore. I kept them on me all the time. So basically, my creation is in spite of rather than because of.
It's very interesting what you are saying, that some people like you fight for their dreams and they continue no matter what are the bad circumstances and other people's opinions.
That's the point. It's survival. It doesn't matter what happens to you. You just do the thing and you get on with it. It's the same with if you want to play music, what you do is you learn to play your instrument, you do your stuff, you write your stuff, and then you go out and you get gigs. This is the way to do it.
How do you create? It's like you are waiting for this muse to come.
No. The process is quite simple. I find a cafe that I like, and I sit down and I write.
Was it the same like in Paris? What happened in Paris?
Yeah.
Can you tell us more?
In
What
actual
is
fact,
the title of this song in Paris?
No, there's a thing about Paris. I went into, I saw this cafe. It was called Café Molière. And they had cheap espresso. I thought, and it said that this was a place for authors. So I thought, that's perfect. So I went in, and the thing is, they were using the espresso, of course, to get customers. They wanted eating customers, and I wasn't eating. I was drinking my espresso and I was writing. And then the waiter started dancing around at one stage, and I said, "Oh, are you closing?" He said, "No, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, plenty of time for you to finish writing your book." So, of course, I visited him many times because I wanted to see what other wicked things he would come up with. Now, this song is about basically falling in love in Paris, and it's called How Do I Know?
May I paint you in Paris? 'Twould be so romantic. And tickets are cheap at this time of the year. I can see you in transit, suitably frantic. I miss you so madly and wish you were here. How do I know I'm in love? It's not hard to explain, I'm completely insane. It's like being a crazy teenager again. 'Cause we Skype until 5 and I feel so alive. And that's how I know, doesn't it show? That's how I know I'm in love. I don't care where I am, dear, as long as you're with me. You're part of the picture I'm trying to paint. I'm thinking of naming it Happy Together. If you'll be my angel, then I'll be your saint. How do I know I'm in love? It's not hard to explain, I'm completely insane. It's like being a crazy teenager again. 'Cause we Skype until 5 and I feel so alive. And that's how I know, doesn't it show? That's how I know I'm in love. And that's how I know, doesn't it show? That's how I know I'm in love.
Now we heard a beautiful song from Paris, but John, there is more beautiful songs.
These songs come from Valentine's Days. As I was saying, it's about, it's the diary of a love affair. And it happens in Paris, Madrid, Berlin, and Aarhus. And it's actually released as ebooks, advanced ebooks, where there are 29 songs and 29 videos. It's split up into 4 books, basically. And it's available on iTunes. The next song is from Madrid, and it's called Cappuccinos in the Clouds.
Waking to the next door neighbors, laughing like a leprechaun. Demonstrations in the papers, turning off and turning on. Broken biscuits, cheap espressos, kiss the claustrophobic crowds. Everybody pays in pesos, cappuccinos in the clouds. Mandatory rites of passage leave you howling at the moon. Hopefully you'll get the message when you're in and out of tune. Broken biscuits, cheap espressos, kiss the claustrophobic crowds. Everybody pays in pesos, cappuccinos in the clouds. They've got you where they want you, babe. You haven't got a chance. Expecting you to break a leg and then get up to dance. Broken biscuits, cheap espressos, kiss the claustrophobic crowds. Everybody pays in pesos, cappuccinos in the clouds. Broken biscuits, cheap espressos, kiss the claustrophobic crowds. Everybody pays in pesos, cappuccinos in the clouds. Broken biscuits, cheap espressos, kiss the claustrophobic crowds. Everybody pays in pesos, cappuccinos in the clouds.
When I was writing this song, it was so hot, it was fierce. You had to stay home during the day because it was too hot to go out during, in the streets of Madrid. It was like a bloody furnace. No, anyway.
And another song is from Berlin. And I remember that there is mentioned that it was just after the Berlin Wall fall.
I've always had a special relationship to Berlin. The song is called Snowballs in Hell. I first went there in May 1989, before the fall of the wall, and then I returned in September 89 to do some gigs. And the year after, I did 11 gigs in 14 days in Berlin. So I've always liked Berlin.
Forget you after our stars have been crossed. Paris, the moment I met you, nothing will ever be lost. Maybe it's only a bubble. Snowballs in hell never thrive. Getting ourselves into trouble. God, how it feels so alive. Standing alone on the platform, watching the trains coming in, seeing your face at each window, welcoming you to Berlin. Maybe it's only a bubble. Snowballs in hell never thrive. Getting ourselves into trouble. God, how it feels so alive. Two-roomed apartment on Sredsky, big double bed and a bath, sitting together at Gaudi's. Living was good for a laugh. Bicycles and taxi cabs, girls in vintage clothes, planter valve and tackleless, all that comes and goes. Maybe it's only a bubble. Snowballs in hell never thrive. Getting ourselves into trouble. God, how it feels so alive. Maybe it's only a bubble. Snowballs in hell never thrive. Getting ourselves into trouble. God, how it feels so alive.
John, there is one more city that has a meaning for you and one more song to hear from this Valentine's Day project, which is Aarhus.
The song is called Each Other's Lives. And it has to do with we cannot live each other's lives. We cannot live life through other people's eyes. Because by trying to do that, we're not living at all. We're living thinking about other people's opinions. And the thing is this, many times they don't have an opinion.
And
they have furniture from IKEA, but they don't have an opinion.
And I also like the sentence that you said once, that there is no day that can go without somebody get offended. Can you tell us more about it? Because maybe it's a bit related to this.
About people getting offended? Yeah, never a day goes by without people getting offended about something someone does or says or whatever. And the thing is, they're opinions. People have to live. People have to be able to speak. And when they start interfering with art, then we're on a very, very slippery slope, because you're getting people deciding what artists should do. And the whole point of art is exactly not that. As Banksy said, art should comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable.
It should be free, from any judgment.
Art is a necessity, not a luxury. And this is important. There is a great underestimation in financial terms for all creative people today. I'm not talking about the stars, I'm talking about the people that are trying to make a living from art. In terms of musicians, you have things like Spotify, which pays nothing. One writer, for 55 million plays, got $11,000. Just think about it. 55 million. This is million. It's not thousand. It's million plays. 55 million people actually played that song.
That's a lot.
This is insane. It's totally insane. And I would advise any musician to join the Danish Musicians Union, because this is solidarity. This is what I'm missing today in society, solidarity. Because otherwise we're all sitting individually on our little branches in a tree and sawing merrily away. And the only thing that's going to result will be free fall. When you're talking about paying artists, you're paying for their time and for their ability. I don't know anybody else who is willing to work for nothing.
stand firm in hope. What we make, we become. We learn how to cope with the cake and the crumb. The days go by, we drift away, so little that we have survives. Tomorrow will be yesterday. We cannot live each other's lives. We mine for the gold in the caves of the past, to have and to hold what we know may not last. The days go by, we drift away, so little that we have survives. Tomorrow will be yesterday. We cannot live each other's lives. We follow our hearts to the end of the line, in stops and in starts that are hard to define. The days go by, we drift away, so little that we have survives. Tomorrow will be yesterday. We cannot live each other's lives. We plot and we plan in the places we find, and keep what we can when we leave them behind. The days go by, we drift away, so little that we have survives. Tomorrow will be yesterday. We cannot live each other's lives. The days go by, we drift away, so little that we have survives. Tomorrow will be yesterday. We cannot live each other's lives.
Now let's talk about my favorite piece of art that you created, a song. Can you tell us more about this song, A Minus Millionaire?
Well, I like writing funny songs because it's a good way of telling people something serious. Yeah, it's got content. When I started writing songs, we used to really want to say something with the songs. Of course you had candy floss, but the things that interested me were not the candy floss ones. I mean, it started out with candy floss like Bebop-A-Lula and so on. They didn't mean anything, but they sounded good, and that was fine, that was great, that was rock and roll, it was great, lovely. But then it developed through people like Dylan, Joni Mitchell, Leonard Cohen, and of course the Beatles, who were influenced to start writing lyrics by Dylan. Minus Millionaire is about the plight of the artist today. It was inspired by a friend of mine who writes musicals in Denmark. I happened to see his bank account, and that inspired the thing. He's a good friend of mine. He was my first manager in Denmark many years ago. And this song is also dedicated to him and to artists everywhere.
Palaces of plenty, castles on the moon, lazy life of luxury, shiny silver spoon, trips to Casablanca, smell the desert air, This is not the lot of the minus millionaire. I'm a minus millionaire. I've got bills enough to share. I won't be drowning in your swimming pools. I'll float above the surface like the Prince of Fools. Build no house of bullion bars. Bicycle me to the stars. No regrets, me boys, and no offense. Watch my magnificence as I ascend. I'm a minus millionaire. I've got credit everywhere. I'll tell you now in confidence what has to be. I believe in Providence and she in me. Join me in my easy chair. What a glorious affair. And after all is said and done, we'll have some tea. Counting what we haven't got is fine by me. I'm a minus millionaire. I've got nothing to declare, except of course my genius, which no one will deny. The grass is always greener, so I'm learning how to fly. When I meet my destiny, do not mourn my memory. Lift your voices to the sky and fill the air. He was fine and in his prime, the finest minus millionaire.
Thank you so much for today.
Thank you for having
Keep
me.
on creating.
I shall indeed,
For
yeah.
you, life is a journey, not a destination.
That's
yes?
right, exactly. Yeah, that's
Thank you
right,
so
yeah.
much.
You're welcome, yeah.
I'm looking for a child who is 9 years old. He's walking by himself down a long dark road. I'm looking for a child with a heart of gold, stars in his eyes and a long